Hi everyone, welcome to week 2. Okay, so for the past week you've been writing down why you want to be a witch and what you think a witch is. Now, hopefully during that period at some point you've got bored and then you've suddenly realised, wait a minute, maybe I'm not doing this in depth enough, or maybe I'm going too in depth. And then you start thinking of other reasons and you go just a little bit deeper and you get the genuine reason why you want to be a witch. And then it's up to you by sitting and reading that, thinking, am I comfortable with this? And then if you are, and it's not for any nefarious reasons or any bad reasons, then you're fine to go. Then you ask yourself, what's a witch? Now, in today's sort of society, we have 20 million types of witches. Kitchen witch, hedge witch, candle witch, crystal witch, million and one other types. To be honest, you need to be all of these and then you specialize. So this training is about learning all of that through time, and then once you've got the basic understanding of it, then you go a little bit further. Sounds good, eh? It's 'cause it is. But before you do that, there are other things we've got to consider, like witchcraft itself, being Wicca. What does that mean? It's not phase, it's not fad, it's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. Now, people have issues with the word religion, but it is a type of religion. It is a belief system that witches follow. Part of that belief system is that there is a goddess and a god. Sometimes many goddesses and gods. There's many pantheons to think through. Pantheon is like the Romans or the Greeks or the Vikings or all of them. And you can pick which pantheon you prefer to work with. But in reality, they're all of the same goddess and god. They're just different aspects. So, our belief system is that there is more than one deity. If you're not comfortable within that sort of realm, then witchcraft's not for you. Types of witches. There are only 3 types of witches. You're like, oh, no, there's not, there's more. No, there's specialties within witchcraft. Just like, what could you have as an example for this? As doctors, there are many fields in which doctors work, but they have a general base knowledge. The same is true of witchcraft. Okay, so yes, you may be a brilliant hedge witch, but first of all, you've got to have been a basic witch. You know, you've got to have the grounding. It's like the Tower card in the tarot. If you don't have a foundation, everything's just going to crumble. And this is the foundation. Okay, so 3 types of witches. You have a white witch, you have a black witch, and you have a grey witch. Okay, a white witch doesn't really perform spells or anything like that. They'll perform rituals. They will look at only the positive side of things. They don't believe it's their place to fight evil. It's just their place to be and worship in that sort of way. They might perform the odd little spell, but not really a lot. And they don't, if if a grey witch sees somebody being bullied, they'll try and stop it because that's inherently wrong. It's evil. Evil isn't the Christian form of evil. It's just that there's something wrong with it. It's not right. If it's not right, then it's something that a grey witch will try and assist with. Now, a black witch, oh my goodness, what is a black witch? A black witch is a witch who specializes in themselves. They are all about gaining power, and they will do anything to get it. They're all about being rich, being powerful, and to hell with the cost. They will use spirits and demons, not in the Christian way, but we'll go into what the demons are to witches later. But they'll use demons, they'll use whatever they can to get what they want. Now, some people say, but you can go to a black witch and they'll cast a spell. Yeah, but it's going to cost you. So the witch isn't doing it for nothing. They're doing it at a cost. Okay, so they are gaining something from that. Black witchcraft is all about personal gain. It's about worshipping the darker side of all the deities, and they only believe in the darker side of the deities. They only like the darker deities. They don't work with the light. They don't work with healings. They don't do any of that. They work on the darker side. And if it's not going to benefit them, they won't do it. Now, the Grey Witch is a little bit of both. She sees the complete story. She sees the good, she sees the bad. She will live her life according to the read, which we will go into in a minute. And she will use whatever it takes to assist in the best outcome for everyone. Grey witches don't like evil. We won't tolerate evil, and we will stand up to it, and we will use whatever we have to fight it. We will protect. We won't deliberately go out looking for things to protect. Well, some do, but in general they don't. But if they come across evil, they will fight it. And that could be an evil person, it could be an evil action, or it could be evil of the evil sense, of evil malevolent spirits, or anything like that. So that's your Grey Witch. So take the white and the black, add them together, and you get more of the grey. Although they're not going to entrap spirits to do their bidding. Because let's be honest, if you do that, then there's always a cost, because that spirit will always be there looking for a way to get what it wants. Do you know what I mean? It's not a free ride. They're just very good at manipulating the situation, and they're always on their guard, which makes them kind of cranky most of the time. Okay? They believe there are no consequences to their actions. And we all know that there are consequences to every action. There isn't an action that can be taken that doesn't have a consequence. Think of the butterfly effect, hurricanes, or a tropical storm in Florida. What we get the bad weather afterwards. There are consequences. That if you hit a nail, it does something. If you move dust, it moves the dust into the air or onto a cloth, or you can't do anything without there being a consequence of the action. Okay, so bear that in mind. Okay, so that's your 3 types of witches. All right, personally, I'm the Grey Witch, and I make no bones about it. I have been for a very long time, about 30 odd years, but 40 years now. Okay, let's not go into that. We don't need to know how old I am, although I'm older than that, but yeah. I don't include the childhood and teenage years. So, yeah. Interesting. Been a while. Yeah, I was from a time when we had to hide who we were and we weren't allowed to say who we were. But ew. Okay, so on to this week's lesson. So, yeah, the type of witch you're going to be and how you view witches. So, for basic training, which is this traditional training, you need to be able to do a little bit of every form of witchcraft. So that will come through time. But you also need to understand the religion of the witchcraft. You have to understand that we have a goddess, who we normally symbolize as the moon, and we have a god, who we normally symbolize as the sun. or hern of the forest. That's the stag. There's balance. There's got to be balance. So a grey witch believes there's dark and there's light. And without the dark, you would never see the light. And without the light, you would never notice the dark. So there's got to be balance in all things. Goddess, God. Dark, light. Yes, no. Happy, sad. There's balance in all things. So, what you have to do for this second week is you have to look at the basic form of the religion. Now, there's two parts of witches' religion. There is the nature part, which is the annual cycle. So it's from winter to spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn, autumn to winter. So there's a cycle. There's a growth cycle. There's a fasting and a feasting cycle. There's day and night. So there's the transposition of the light and the balance of the light, how it comes into balance twice a year, and so there's all of that. But the other part is the goddess and the god. So there's multiple deities, with the goddess being the main and the god being her consort. So it doesn't matter which Patreon you follow, they all have this, apart from Christianity. But we don't do that because we're pagans. We believe in multiple deities. Okay, so this goddess and the god are the original celestial beings. The goddess is the main power, and she is balanced by the god, our consort. So the goddess creates, and with the aid of the god, she brings new life. And this could be the energies. They create this energy together. The god ensures that the will of the goddess is carried out. And this is throughout all creation, in nature, everything. And make sure that her laws are adhered to. Now, this is closely related to the Wheel of the Year. And in Wicca, we've sort of intertwined it. So the energies of the planets and the cosmos all work in a cycle. And we utilize this in our worship. And this is something you have to be able to put your faith into to become a witch. A traditional true witch. So that's one thing you've got to consider this week. Also, while you're there, I want you to think about, do you have any gifts? Now, I had an interesting discussion with a fellow witch today, and it was, we got quite, our communication struggled, to put it slightly, but we got there in the end. But basically, what the teaching is that you need the basis of the witchcraft at this year in a day training to be able to take your witchcraft to the next level. So even although you have one gift, if you don't understand the rest of the belief system, the rest of the faith, then how can you be the best witch you can be? To be the best you can be, which is part of our rituals every week, it's part of our basics, to be the best we can be. So as a witch, we want to be the best witch we can be. And to do that, you need to have a good foundation. And that's what this course is. So, looking at this, Look at what gifts you have. Can you sense emotions? Can you see things? Can you relate to animals? Can you feel the emotions of other people? Do you meditate easily? Um, do you see things that are going to happen before they happen? Sometimes there's a little spark of that and you have a little bit of it, and then through the training you can enhance that. Or you can discover other gifts that can go along with it throughout the training, which is really interesting because you normally have a couple, even although you might only think you have one. Or you might think you have none, and then you do the training and you realize, oh, wait a minute, I could do that. And you have more than one gift. And people can be very surprised with what they can find out through the training. So my advice is have a little think to yourself about how you are in situations. And I want you to journal this in your book because you're going to look back at this later on in the year and see, oh my God, is that what I thought back then? And it's not going to be. So this week, you're going to look at the basis of the religion and are you comfortable with that? Do a little bit of research on the religion and on the cycle of the year. And then next week we'll go into the rituals and the read. The witches read is sort of the rules we live by, which are really good. Now I do have something that I will read to you in a second. No, I won't. I'll read it next week. The read. I will actually read that to you next week, and then we can see. Everybody knows one part of it. Do what thou wilt, but harm none. Okay, that's easy part to remember. Hard part to do, easy part to remember. But there's more to it. You know, there's what are the 9 trees you burn and what do they represent? Why do we use them? What are they related to within ourselves? And it's quite interesting when you start to look at that, which is what we'll go into next week with this, is when we're doing the read. And how they relate to what we now call chakras. When I did my training, they weren't actually called chakras as such, because that was more an Indian sort of based culture thing. They were just the energies and the types of energies that we had to use and fulfill and top up and work with for meditation or for ourselves. So we'll go into how these relate to the trees next week as well. But before we do that, I need you to look at the religion. Are you comfortable with it? What is the religion to you? What is the cycle of the year? How does that relate to witchcraft? How does that relate to the goddess and the god? Have a look at that. And it can get really interesting. But just, even if you just get the basics of it so you're comfortable, and then we can go into a bit more depth later on. But you must be comfortable with that to do this training. Okay. Now, if anybody had any startling discoveries of what they thought a witch was, or why they want to be a witch, or if they're unsure about it, then please message me. I will answer. Okay. And then if anybody has any questions on the religious form of it, if you question me, then I'll answer that later as well. Okay, and I will personally message you back. It won't be somebody else. It will be me that does it. Okay, um, and also what gifts you have, because it'll sort of help me tailor the training slightly for some of you if there is any special gifts that are needing fine-tuned. That's a good way to fit it, isn't it? I like that. Yes, but once we get past the religious part, and you get comfortable with that side of things, then it goes a lot more in depth. So let's do that. So that's this week's homework. In your journal, look at the religion of the faith, look at the religion of witchcraft or Wicca. Wicca is witchcraft. So look at that and look at what type of witch you think you will be. Will you be a white? Will you be a grey? Hopefully none of you will be black, because I won't take you down that road. I don't go into the occult side, the negative side too much. And I definitely don't give you the spells to possess and attach things to yourselves. Not at this stage. That's after a year and a day that we do those sorts of things, when you can control it a bit better. The year and a day is all about getting the initial control and how to do things, how to create your rituals, how to create your spells. It all get covered. But first, you have to understand, do you like the religion of it? Are you able to live with the religion of it? Can you believe in it? I mean, if you can't believe in multiple deities, how can you believe that you can bring something that you've created in your mind from the other world into being in this world? And that's what spells are. So have a think about the religion, have a wee bit of research onto it, and then I will speak to you. It'll be on Tuesday next week, because I'm going to start doing these sessions in tune with the moon cycles. So every quarter moon, so once a week, in tune with the quarter moon in the UK, we will do the moon training. That's what we'll call the year and a day training. Okay? And we'll do it in tune with the moon. And that'll help you get in tune with cycles. So as we're doing the training and going through it with the moon, and then once we get into the rituals of it and the energies of it, well, it'll all work in a lot easier for you. So next week's post will be on Tuesday, so you don't have quite as long to wait. It's only 6 days, I think. Yeah. So I will see you then. Look forward to hearing any comments you have. Please do comment. All right, you take care. Blessed be.